one singular entry, one paragraph on the side of the page. This is nonsense. And then, of course, Wolverine gets like 4 pages of... Well. It's been quite a long time since I've seen a camera around here, especially not one pointed at me. But here we are. Well, you've caught me at a good time. I was merely rereading this enormous, thick tome. Which, seriously, Wolverine's got like 4 pages in here. To be fair, most of it is just that. I don't know who the hell this bald guy is, but he doesn't matter. Anyway, Deadpool and Wolverine, huh? Deadpool and Wolverine was one of the more anticipated movies of the year for a number of people, myself included. Probably because it was the only MCU movie that was going to come out this year, which is probably a good thing that they're dialing back a little bit, because some of the recent films have been not good. Not good at all. Guardians 3 was awesome. The other 2 last year were kind of bad. Anyway, but this one, I think, is a win for them, because it doesn't have, like, a huge role to play in terms of, like, the future of the MCU, where it's going or anything, but that shouldn't really be the goal of this movie. It should just be there to be a fun adventure with Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's what it is. It pays affectionate tribute to some of like the X-Men stuff that's come before, 20th Century Fox and all that, while also viciously mocking it, and also viciously mocking Disney and Marvel, which is something that I do on a regular basis. So good for them. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are both in top form here. Their chemistry is so much fun. They're like, you can tell that they're enjoying doing every crazy wacky thing they do in this movie. A lot of it involves fighting, and when that happens, it's awesome, because like putting 2 beings who have like basically immediate regenerative healing powers next to each other and having them fight, it's awesome. I will leave it at that. And the action in this movie across the board is very, very good. There's like one big action scene that's kind of awkwardly filmed, in that it's a little hard to tell what's going on sometimes, and the camera movements are really quick, and it's weird because like right when this battle begins, it a couple seconds after the whole thing starts, it like pans around to something else, and then like goes like over like a building or something. So it makes it kind of difficult to see, which is just kind of odd, and it gets better as it goes along. But that one scene, if you've seen the film, you may know what I'm talking about, but it's kind of like in the middle of the movie. That was the only one that I was like kind of not impressed by. Everything else was really good. The like kind of the climax, the opening, it's so good. It's funny, it's graphically violent, and that's what the Deadpool movies are. This one is no different, just because it's from Disney. So, you know, that's good. I did have a couple problems with some of the way that they handled Deadpool's storyline, because like, okay, you don't go to a Deadpool movie expecting like deep, rich emotions and complex storylines, but some of the way that they do things here just kind of, it wasn't the best. And I saw this movie twice, like 2 days in a row, and those issues kind of got better for me upon rewatching it. But they were still kind of there. I think his friends, who he talks about a good bit throughout the movie, they don't really have much of a presence, which is a shame, because they're very good characters and they're fun, and it's a little bit sad that they kind of get shoved off to the side, which I guess makes sense because it's called Deadpool and Wolverine, but like the Deadpool side characters are really fun. So, you know, that's a bit of a shame. And I think some of the stuff they do with Vanessa I didn't love, because it, in like the setup of the movie, you know, mild spoilers, very mild. It's like it's within the first like 5 to 10 minutes that this is explained. So if you really want to go in like blind, then maybe skip ahead a little bit. But um, in the like the at the beginning of this film, they're not together anymore. Which, when they explain why that's the case, it makes sense, and you can see how that would be a motivation for Deadpool to like do more things throughout the movie, or like do things differently. But the way it kind of plays out, like, I just, and there's still like friends, which is cool, but I don't know, it's I feel like his motivation would have made more sense if the two of them had a closer relationship, because as it stands, it's just like, as opposed to him wanting to save the world for his friends and longtime girlfriend, he now wants to save the world for his friends, a group which happens to include his ex longtime girlfriend. And I don't know, I feel like his motivations could have been a bit more strong if that was still a thing, because they spent a lot of time building up their relationship in the first two movies, and they were so good together. But I don't know, I didn't love that. um and I feel like it could have been done differently. But again, the Deadpool movies aren't known for like the strong storytelling or anything, so it wasn't that big of a deal. um that said, I do really like what they did with Wolverine in this film. The version of him in here is it's not the same version from the main series X-Men movies and Logan and all that. It's so they don't really undo that death at all. But they it's like it's a different version of Wolverine, who is much less well regarded in his world than the one that we watched in the X-Men movies. And I think Hugh Jackman does an excellent job of communicating all of that. Like in the scenes where he has to like break down and be emotional and be angry. Like there's this one moment where he's talking to Deadpool in a car, and it's like this really intense monologue, and it's just like really really strong acting from Hugh Jackman. And he's probably not as good as he was in Logan, but he's still really good. Like he proves himself as a very talented thespian, I guess, and he's great in this movie. And I feel like his performance kind of elevates the writing of the character, because they kind of leave some things about him ambiguous, or they don't specifically explain or show everything. But I found myself very invested in this version of Wolverine, which is something, admittedly, that the X-Men movies failed to do until Logan. So there you go. But I don't know, that might be just a me thing. I don't like the X-Men movies, so I'm probably not the best person to talk about them in like a reverent sort of way. But maybe I'll talk about them at some point. I might rank them. We'll see. Anyway, um, yeah, I really like what they did with Wolverine in this movie, and once again, the chemistry between him and Deadpool, perfection. I'd like to discuss some of the other characters. The villains specifically, because another thing the Deadpool movies are not known for is their good villains, because up to this film, the best one they had was Juggernaut in Deadpool 2. Um, and yet in his 3 films, Deadpool has managed to get in some conflict with a bald British person, which kind of a coincidence that it turned out that way, but that's pretty cool. And the 2 bald British people from the first 2 films, Yeah, they kind of suck. They're not very interesting characters, but I marginally preferred the bald British villain in this movie, Cassandra Nova, who I don't think she was the best written character. Like, I think they could have done more with her. Her motivations made sense. Um, kind of. I'm not really sure why exactly she was trying to do some of the stuff she was trying to do, but she's just kind of a crazy villain, and I think the actress's performance elevates the admittedly not superb writing a lot because oh man, she's just so crazy and creepy, and she just like, and she has this like jokey vibe to her that the bald British guys in the other Deadpool movies did not, and I think that fits very nicely. And it's not like fourth wall breaking joking, but just kind of like she's still intimidating, but she's like funny. And I think a character like that works very well for a Deadpool movie, which are supposed to be funny. So yeah, I really enjoyed her character, um, and she does some creepy stuff in this movie that is fun to watch and visually very cool and very scary and very weird to imagine. And they make some funny jokes out of it. If you know, you know. Anyway, and then the other villain in here is Paradox, played by Matthew Macfadyen, who was in the show Succession, which I watched last year. He played a dude named Tom, who is kind of just an idiot. And in this movie, he's also kind of just an idiot who wants to be cool. And he's so delightful and stupid and goofy, and I enjoyed everything about his character. He didn't have like super compelling motivations, but he didn't need compelling motivations. He just needed to be an asshole who wanted Deadpool to do what he wanted him to do, and that is a role that he fulfilled spectacularly. And I really enjoyed his character. There's one point, I will not give the context, but there's one point where he he calls an employee of his a drooling boob, and said in his ridiculous British accent. It was really funny. Oh man, I enjoyed that character, and man, probably never gonna see him again, but I don't care. He was really fun to watch, and I don't know. He was absolutely a standout in this movie where a lot of the characters are standouts, and there's not a lot of characters also like the main credits, like you have Deadpool, Wolverine, those two villains, um, like a couple of the side characters from the Deadpool movies, and then like Pyro from X-Men The Last Stand, who is in the movie, and I don't believe that's a spoiler. If you didn't know, I'm sorry. There are a lot of cameos, and I will not spoil what they are, but they work very well. And they're so much better than what Multiverse of Madness did. What Deadpool and Wolverine did that was very wise was that they didn't reveal, like, I mean, they revealed some, I guess, but none of like the big ones. None of like these like big surprise moments did they reveal in the like, okay, so like Sabretooth was in one of the trailers, but like that's not really a big reveal. Like it's cool to see him, I guess, but like whatever. So no, what they I really like what they did with the way they did the cameos. Unfortunately, I had some of them spoiled for me by just virtue of YouTube and the internet, and just I tried to avoid it, but it was unfortunate. And I watched the movie like 2 days after it came out, so it probably shouldn't have been as big of an issue as it was, but I saw far too many people spoiling it. That's a problem. Internet, get on that. Fix it. Anyway, yes, the cameos were very well done. That is all I will say. Anyway, um, this was a very fun, enjoyable movie. The soundtrack was awesome. Like, they used so many great songs. Um, and it was just, and there was a particular use of one song in like the big climactic moment of the film, where it was like kind of like a different version, and it just worked so well and so beautifully, and it was awesome. And like it works very nicely with the fight scenes, syncs up very well, and the way they did the music on some of like the cameo reveals worked very well. So yeah, I really, really, really liked this movie. I'd probably give it like a solid 8 out of 10. Like it's not a masterpiece. It's not trying to be. That's like that's the beauty of a Deadpool film. You don't need it doesn't need to be like top 5 MCU, which I don't think it was. If like that is the case of your opinion, then good on you. And honestly, that's completely fair because this is such a fun movie that I could see someone enjoying it like like a lot, and I did enjoy it a great deal. I maybe like top 15 of the MCU movies, but I really enjoyed the movie, y'all. Thank you for watching. I absolutely recommend this film, especially if you've seen Deadpool movies, seen Marvel movies, or just want a fun time at the movie theater. Watch it. It's pretty epic. Anyway, thanks for watching. Keep calm and watch on.